So I'm delighted to be joined by the Gunn Police. In comes Dave Cannon from Gunn. Nice to see you. Dave's been with Gunn 20 years now, key account manager, specialist in cricket. He knows everything about the range, inside, outside. We've worked with him for over 15 years. We're going to get the real gossip. We're going to get the real behind-the-scenes story, the footage.
I've always wanted to leave the company on a high, so here we go. Let's see
how we go on then.
Let's tell them all the secrets.
Grab a seat then, grab a seat. So, we've been reviewing the Gunn range, independently by ourselves. Fantastic range.
Thank you.
We've always done well. Gunn always been very popular at Sirius. So, we've got a few things new in the range. What are you looking forward to 2022 from a brand point of view?
Well, 2022, really, we've had 2 years without a launch. With the pandemic, 2021, we introduced one bat. It was a quiet launch, really, for the Chroma. So, 2022, 2 new bats on the range. We've revamped 2 bats. So, what we've really got is 4 new stories to talk about. 2 on new bats themselves, and then we've got 2 bats. The Chroma stayed in the range, so for a lot of people that would be the first time they've seen that done properly.
So that's probably the first question then, is you've got the Chroma and the Noir.
Yes.
Stayed in the range from last year.
Yeah.
Is that down to a stock issue? You've got loads of it from last year?
Oh, if only.
Or is it down to really happy with those 2? They're good quality bats.
The Noir is probably as near as you get to the bat that people like to buy in the UK. There is a tendency in places that pitches don't overly bounce. We're not Australia, we're not South Africa, the ball doesn't necessarily fly around your head, however much some of the fast bowlers try. The weight that people need on their bat, they're getting forward, they're driving.
That would make sense. We've done an independent review on the Noir, and we felt that the profile and the sweet spot lends itself more to a front foot player.
Exactly.
Someone like James Vince has had amazing success. Hampshire and Southern Brave likes to play with the front foot.
Exactly.
So that would make sense. We talked about the Chroma being nice and rounded and being around, good full profile.
Exactly. It was as near as you're probably going to get to what the pros use in a mass production bat.
Okay.
Every pro has his little nuances. He knows he wants this tweaked, that tweaked. To be perfectly honest, it probably doesn't make a lot of difference with a lot of them, but it makes them feel special. It's what they like. Yeah. So we do that.
Okay. So new for this year then, or let's go to the Icon next.
Icon was around last year, last 2 years. It was just time for a little revamp on the stickers as much as anything. So the profile's changed exactly the same. What we've done with the stickers is a bit more in your face. It was probably a little too subtle almost. We're proud of what we do. We're proud of the fact that we make the stuff here in Nottingham, the quality of what we do, and what we've done with the Icon was to actually give you the chance to see the wood all the way through.
Well, let me talk to you about that in a second, then I'll come back to that, because I've got to say here now, Icon has been my choice, my personal choice last year and this year. I think the revamp in the colourways is really good. I think it really brings it to life. So I'll be using that again this year from a Gunn point of view. You've touched on there, really interesting point, bats made in Nottingham. Tell us a bit about that, because a lot of people think, is it everything made abroad? You just put it on a boat, you just put stickers on it. How does it all work? Your story's quite different, isn't it?
We started, Gunn & Moore was founded by, believe it or not, 2 gentlemen, one called Gunn, one called Moore. William Gunn was...
Hang on a second, is this story going to be... We go back years?
This is going back to 1885.
Right, okay.
So a long time. Don't worry, I'm not going to give you every decade on the way through. But it was founded then. To be honest, we don't really know a lot about Moore. Actually, we should be called Gunn and Sherwin. Right. Because William Sherwin was the bat maker. Okay. And he started off making bats for us in the early 1890s. But that was in Nottingham. We've moved, the first factory that we had he started off in literally a little shed in the back of a pub, in the yard of a hotel and pub.
So you could come and buy a bat and have a beer at the same time.
Well, yeah.
I think for a lot of people, that's probably quite a good model.
Interestingly, he was making bats on one side of the road. William Gunn had a shop on the other side of the road.
Right.
Married the two up. Next thing you know, all the bats are being sold through Gunn and Moore, through the shop. We then moved to a factory in Haslam Street, and we were there for probably 100 years, 100 years. And we moved from Haslam Street in Nottingham, which is just down by the canal, and we moved about 3 miles away to another location in Nottingham, and that was in 2000. So we've been making cricket bats continually since 1890 or so in Nottingham.
So guys, that's over 100 years experience here. We're talking to the main guy here from Gunn and Moore. There's not many things they don't know about making bats. In terms of making them today, what does that look like?
We're totally up to date. We brought in about 13 years ago machinery which gives us a general shape to the bats. It saves people employing people to actually just strip bats down to a general shape.
Yeah.
But we still have a very, very dedicated workforce. Interestingly, you said about the fact that we've been making the experience. I can introduce you to 3 people in our factory who, between them, have over 100 years worth of experience in making cricket bats.
That's phenomenal, really. There's a lot of work that people don't know. There's a lot of work that goes into crafting these bats. That automation helps bring the profiles into shape. We've talked about in the different videos the profiles in the bats. That's done primarily initially by machinery, but at the end that's all handcrafted by the bat makers and bat makers. Now, the bat makers, is it his responsibility to determine whether you've got the original or an 808? Who grades that Willow?
Basically,
that?
There is one person.
Wow.
Because actually, if he's doing the grading, it's a continual.
It's consistent.
So I'll tell you, his name's Adrian, and Adrian will go through. He'll identify in the initial stages what grade that cleft will be. Mm-hmm. It can invariably goes down in grade. Very rarely do they go up. But he'll look at a cleft and he knows from looking at that cleft that's going to turn into an 808, or it's going to turn into a 606, or it's going to be an original LE.
Okay.
What we do is we cut the wood. We then store the wood in a climate. We have a climate room, so we store the wood so it's ready to go out into the factory. But where it's stored is making sure it's kept at a constant temperature. No moisture ingression that could make the bat get heavier or make the blade get heavier, and we keep our handles in there as well. Take them into the factory and the craftsmen get to work. So,
I mean, for anybody watching this, the key tip and key bit of advice I can give them from a neutral's point of view is basically you're trying to beat Adrian. So if you go into our stores at Serious Cricket or anywhere else in the country, what you're trying to do is find that piece of Willow that almost performs like an original LE, but Adrian's graded it as an 808 because you're going to have a bit of a price saving, but a massive upside in performance. And, and that's the dark science of trying to choose a bat as a consumer.
Yeah, the whole thing is, it's not an exact science. Once upon a time, it was how many grains.
Yeah, I remember that.
Was there any markings on the face of the bat?
Yeah.
And that is still taken a long way. We have a very special cricket ball in the factory. And this special cricket ball, literally every bat that comes out has this ball bounced on it just to get reaction. Now that can be the difference between it being an original LE and original. If they bounce the ball on it and they don't think it's good enough to be an LE, they'll make it an original.
That sounds like my bowling has been hit a lot of times.
I understand there's a few people out there, Neil, that quite happily use any bag against your bowling. So,
and they'll probably be successful too. So if they were choosing one of your new ranges, we'll leave the diamond till the end.
Okay, yeah.
But let's talk about the Spark and the Prima. So,
well, the first thing, as I'm not sure if people can see from how they're lined up there, but what you've now got is the two new bats are on the newer configuration that we've been doing for the past 6 or 7 years, which is the shorter blade, longer handle. So overall, the size of the bat is the standard size of a cricket bat, but what you've got is a 54 centimetre blade on the Spark, on the Prima and on the Diamond, and you've got a 55.5 centimetre blade on the Icon, the Chroma and the Noir.
So we've mentioned that in our individual bat reviews, specifically in terms of the blade lengths.
Yeah.
Do you think it really makes a difference?
It made a difference to Joe Root because that was what he wanted. So that's why we did it initially.
I mean, taking it to its extreme, and some of the people from a few years ago remember the Mongoose that came out.
Yeah.
There was a huge long handle and a small bladed bat.
Yeah.
I mean, that's an extreme.
That's extreme. That's like what we're doing is we're actually going for something which in theory should make your bat speed a bit quicker.
Okay.
In theory. If you're a professional, you will notice a difference.
Yeah.
Or you should notice a difference.
Yeah.
If it's you, if it's me, possibly not. But it's then what makes you feel comfortable, what feels good in the pickup.
Yeah.
And actually, slightly longer handle, slightly shorter blade, means there's slightly less wood in the bat. That should make it a bit lighter.
Yeah.
Gives us the opportunity to do slightly thicker edges and slightly bigger middle and things like that. But it's all to do with the pickup. Remember, it's nothing to do with one of the banes of our life is weight on cricket bats. The weight should make no difference. It's how a cricket bat feels in the hand.
And that's interesting because over the years we've seen wood in cricket bats almost swell in size. So bats that are still only £2.8, £2.9 you're getting a lot of wood.
Yes.
For that weight now, which obviously means when you're striking those balls, they're going to go further. Now, is that because you've not compressed them as much? Are they softer? How have you gone from a How's that difference occurred over?
You have, like, to be perfectly honest, it's all to do. Wood is a natural product, and actually, it's hoping that the majority of the wood that we purchase is of a type that will actually be a bit lighter when we cut it in the first place.
Sure.
We dry the willow to a specific percentage, and we've adjusted that over the years so that actually it's possibly slightly drier than it was 10 years ago. But once again, that's just to make it that little bit lighter. But what we're not trying to do is take away the durability with doing that. So that's what we try and do. And the shaping, so you make a slightly shorter bat. So if the blade is slightly shorter, then in theory there should be slightly less weight there, which means that you can compensate by doing slightly bigger edges and things like that.
So Dave, we talked about all the range so far.
Yeah.
The Diamond's been a flagship bat, I guess, for the last couple of years. We'll talk about that in a minute. But that was really popular for us in 2021.
Good.
Slightly different for this year?
Yeah, all we've really done is change the stickers. Like, we've had the same stickers for the past 3 years.
Yeah.
We wanted to lift it a bit. Obviously, the Diamond hasn't been seen on TV as such. There's only one person who uses the Diamond in the professional sphere, which is Mr. Stokes himself.
So how much involvement has he had with this range? Does he get involved? Does he design the bat? Does he work with the bat?
I wouldn't necessarily say he designs the bat,
no.
But what I would say is he gets involved in the colourways and things like that. He loves Gunn and bats.
Yeah.
I do know that. He's with us for another 4 years at least. Re-signed a contract back end of last year.
Well, going back to the beginning of the sort of Ben Stokes story, I guess you were, in some ways, you picked him up at an interesting time.
Yeah.
He's then gone on to be probably the most recognised player in England for sure. Great timing for you guys.
Oh, wonderful! Like, to be perfectly honest, if we knew that was going to happen, we were going to bought a lottery ticket at the same time.
Yeah.
It was to win the World Cup. One of our competitors suggested putting a red dot on the back of our bats just to acknowledge where that run out didn't happen and the ball went for 4 in the final of the World Cup. So there was that, and then obviously it was Headingley.
Okay.
What we must say is well done, Jack Leach.
Well done, Jack Leach.
Well done. There's nothing like seeing his cartwheel, one line.
But very well done, Ben Stokes.
Well, that enabled Ben to do what he did.
Absolutely. I mean, from a brand point of view for you guys, do you see a direct correlation with, a Ben Stokes performance to bat sales? Does it directly link like that, or is it just a good awareness for what you do?
What you've got with somebody like Ben, he is probably one of the few people that is out there where kids want to be that player. And wanting to be that player hopefully means they want to use the same product as Ben. So on that front, there is a whole factor that if Ben's doing well, if Ben's in the limelight, we should sell more products. It's as simple as that. He also sells a lot of Red Bull for them. So, you know, it is one of those things. He is a face, he is known. He's not been involved in cricket for 6 months. He announces that he's been added to the Ashes squad, and suddenly there's the newspapers have picked up on that. He's back in the news.
And I guess I think probably a key question for some people out there would be, is it really a Gunn bat he's using, or does he use his favourite piece of bat that he's got and you put the stickers on it? I mean, how does that work? Does he come to the factory and
he comes to the factory,
picks them up? How does that work?
He comes to the factory. As far as I'm concerned, and as far as I'm aware, he loves the bats. We give him enough.
He's scoring. He's scoring enough.
He's scoring enough runs for him.
Yeah.
He comes to the factory. He has. If you would like to buy the bat that Ben uses, we actually do make exactly this a bat to exactly the same profile as Ben's. That is,
and that's a player's edition, isn't it?
Yeah, a player's edition.
We've talked about what we really like about the player's edition. It even goes to the length of flipping the GM logo round.
Exactly.
Which is because he's left-handed.
Exactly.
It probably appears better for you on TV the other way up.
Yeah, exactly.
So that level of detail, if you're looking for that, then the player's edition is the one for you.
Exactly. Like the whole thing with the player's edition, it is authentic. It is what they're using.
How many? I mean, I think what people will find interesting. How many bats do people use a year then? Like, everybody we work with, even buying things, they probably buy one bat a year and that gets them through, hopefully. I've always said probably about 1,000 runs per bat, which for most club cricketers, that probably does them a couple of seasons.
I was going to say, that's my lifetime.
But someone like your James Vince and your Ben Stokes, who you've got, how many bats do they use?
Stokes could well have 6, 8, 10 bats a season.
Really? Wow.
There is the whole thing that for all of them, they're playing, if you're playing IPL, you probably might want the middle slightly lower, because lower bouncing pitches. If you're playing in Australia, you might want your swell to be slightly higher, because the whole thing with this is different locations,
different bats with different
pitches.
Different pitches.
Everybody's different.
Yeah.
Like going back a number of years, we used to deal with Michael Vaughan, and Vaughan's phrase was, Gunn knew exactly what I liked, and never ever sent me a bad bat.
I think for the pros is ultimately it is their tools of their trade.
Exactly.
They have to get everything bang on and right and feel comfortable. What we've always found really good here at Sirius is you've got the full range though. We've talked a lot about the bats now, but you've got the full range to complement it. Softs, your pads, your gloves, everything across the board. And that works really well with whichever bat you choose.
Oh yes.
You've got something to go with.
We try and match things up, so if people want to coordinate. So there are pads and gloves that match. Like actually, the Prima this year is a very strong colourway. So we've got pads and gloves that match that with the trim.
We've got
bright, bags. We've got bags that match that as well. And same with the Ben Stokes for the junior luggage range. We have in the Ben Stokes colourway, because obviously, they want to emulate their hero. So we do that. And we have diamond pads and gloves to match as well.
How do you go about signing players? How do you do that?
We try and identify talent. To be perfectly honest, if you are a lower league football club, you can't afford to sign the Kanes of this world or the Sterlings of this world. That's only Premier League clubs can afford to sign them. Same principle. It's what you're doing is you're looking for talent, and actually you want to find the kids who are good at a relatively early age, sponsor them as they go through the county scene and all the pathways, and then it's on to what you're hoping to do. We're always looking for the next Ben Stokes, the next James Vince.
So, I mean, from a range point of view, it's been Gunn has been a solid range for a long time now. You've continuously innovated with your product. You keep bringing new things to market. you're signing some big name players. You've got some big guns out there using your kit.
Yeah.
What about sort of the global side of it all? I mean, we sit here in England, we're looking at the England players. What about around the rest of the world? Where does Gunn sit with out in Australia and other places? Where does that sit?
We have a decent profile out in these places. Obviously, you might have just seen, coming up on Sunday, Devon Conway was supposed to be playing for New Zealand. Apparently he's broken his hand. But he was supposed to be playing for New Zealand in the final of the T20 World Cup. So he heightens our profile out there. We've had Ross Taylor there. We've had numerous Australian, South Africans, like Aidan Markram at the moment. Always looking for players in that part of the world to enhance our reputation out there. But it sells well. It always has done in other markets.
It's always been a very popular brand here at Sirius with people online, people in store. From a public point of view, I don't think you can go wrong with the Gunn range, whatever product you're purchasing. Dave's been really interested in talking to you today. I know you've got a looky-like out there that you get referred to. It's not Alan Carr, it is Dave Cannon. We've got him here in the flesh, for anybody wondering. Look, thanks again for your time.
No problem.
We're sure Gunn are going to go well this year again, and we look forward to working with you in the next few years. Thanks for your insight, interesting information over the history of where you've come from as well. I think people find that fascinating.
Right.
And look forward to working with you in the future.
Thank you very much, Neil.
Cheers, mate.
Thanks.